Good morning, everyone. My name is B. Shweta Bindu. I'm going to discuss the topic of threats in Java programming, object-oriented programming through Java. And my first topic will be Java threats. What is a threat? In this lecture, I'm going to cover the topics: what is a threat, what is the life cycle of a thread, and interrupt a thread, thread synchronization, and any other issues. So these are the topics that are to be covered in this lecture. And initially, what is a thread? The basic definition of a thread is a sequential, it is a program, it is a sequential program. And when it is executed, it has only single flow of control. So thread has only a single flow of control. At any instant of time, there is at most only one instruction statement which is under execution, that is being executed in the program. So at only one instant of time, there will be only one program which is under execution. That is a single thread. That is the definition of a single thread. And next is multi-threaded program. A multi-threaded program is one that can have multiple flows of control when executed. So it can have multiple flows of control when executed. So just like in single thread program, it do not have multiple flow of control. It is only a single flow of control. Single thread contains only a single flow of control, whereas multi-threaded programs can have multiple flows of control when executed. So at some instance, we will discuss about multi-threaded program. At some instance, there may exist multiple instructions or execution points that are being executed in the program. So at a single instance of time, there may exist multiple instructions which are to be executed in the program at one instance of time. So whereas in a single threaded program, what is happening at any instant of time, there is only one, at least one, or at most only one instruction that is currently executed. For example, there is an example for multi-threaded program. Example is in a web browser, we may do the following tasks at the same time. We may do the following tasks at the same time. First one, scroll a page. Second one, download an applet or image. Third one, play sound or print a page. So these are the tasks that we are doing simultaneously in our web page, in our web browser, whether it is Mozilla Firefox or Google Chrome, whatever it is. So I'm just scrolling down a page. Meanwhile, I'm downloading an applet or an image, and I'm in the background. I may also play some sound, and I can also print a page. These are the tasks which are running simultaneously at one single instance of time. So a thread is a single sequential flow of control within a program. Thread is nothing but it is a single sequential flow of control within a program. So now, single-threaded, this is a pictorial representation of single-threaded versus multi-threaded programs. So a program is a single thread. So this is only a single flow of control. So this is a single-threaded program. For example, thread A, A1, A2, A3, B1, B2. These are the threads which perform individually, independently. They do not depend on any another thread. So whereas in multi-threaded programs, so these are the two threads which run simultaneously at the same time. This complete picture is called as a single program. There is a multiple flow of control. Multiple instructions are passing. Instead, they are doing multiple flow of instructions for the two different threads. So thread A, new threads are A1, A2, A3, B1, and B2. So these are the new threads that are defined under the main thread A. Now, thread ecology in a Java program. So this is started by Java from main string. So Java main string, public static void main string args. So this is the statement. This is the statement which is present in each and every Java application where actual execution of the program begins from this line. And then started by the main thread. So this is nothing but started by the main thread. So this is the main program. So each and every Java application will have a default thread that is our main thread. So this is our main program thread. So this is the default main program thread, and this is started by main thread and started by thread B. This is the end of thread C. And lifetime of thread C is this till starting. This is the starting phase of the lifetime of the thread C begins from at this point, and lifetime of thread C ends at this point. And point of execution. Point of execution is this main program thread. So this is an example program on basic concepts of threads in Java programming. Public class, each and every class name must begin with, according to naming conventions, each and every class name must begin with an uppercase letter. And similarly, the first letter of the second word must also begin with a capital letter. Public, and the access modifier that is specified for this class will be public. Public class simple thread extends our thread class. This is our main thread class, and this is a user defined thread which extends the main threads. It means what? All the methods and all the methods and all the implementation, like methods, classes, the functionalities which are present in this thread class are now applicable for the thread what we have created, that is simple thread, public simple thread. And the argument that we are passing to this string is string str, super of str. It means what? Super means what? Like parent, parent is what? String str. Public void run. So this is our main line which is present in thread. So this run method will internally call itself. The run method will internally call by itself in the threads concept. And this is the initialization of the thread. For example, we are taking the for loop int I is equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus. So system.out.println is I is what? Initially 0, 0 plus get name. And if this loop keeps on repeating till I value reaches 10. When I value is beyond 10, the for loop is going to be terminated. Try at this point, current thread is this thread.sleep of log math.random number into 1000. And then there is an exception that is raised. So immediately after the try block, catch block is placed. So whatever try block is what? So whenever there is an exception raised in the program, that code must be placed within the try block. Try block is followed by the catch block and interrupted exception in. Whatever the exception raised in the try block will be handled, will now be handled by this catch block, interrupted exception in. And then we print done plus get name. This is an example program of Java threads. And life cycle of a thread. Life cycle of a thread contains runnable, blocking, runnable state, dead state, like sleep mode. And these are the basic thread life cycle. Life cycle of a thread contains new, where the thread is born, runnable. Runnable is the actual execution of the thread starts from this. And then finally, after executing the thread, there is a blocked or waiting stage where the thread will be waiting for another thread to release to complete its execution. And then runnable state where the functionality of the thread starts from here. Finally, it enters into the thread, enters into the terminated state. So these are the multiple states. These are the different states in the life cycle of a thread. Sleep blocked by synchronized method or block. Synchronized object, synchronized statement, and synchronized synchronization. So object-oriented programming language, it returns the object.wait join method is used to join the threads which are being executed. Synchronized statement, this is a synchronized method. So the states of life cycle of a thread is public static void main thread, and then public static enum state. This is a new state, but before start state, runnable state. It is after the start state when running already. And then once the thread is started, it enters into a blocked state, and then it enters into the waiting state. And there is a timed wait. For example, if sleep for 1000 milliseconds, a thread will be sleeping for 1000 milliseconds, and after that, the other thread will be executed. After the completed execution of the thread, it enters into the terminated state. Now, state transition methods for threads. So public final void join. These are the methods: native void method, join method, yield method, resume, suspend, stop. These are the different methods which are present in thread synchronization. And interrupting threads. Interrupting threads, a blocking or waiting call to a thread can be terminated by an interrupted exception thrown by invoking t.interrupt. It is thrown by invoking t.interrupt. So interrupt is a method which disturbs or which stops execution of the current running thread. So public void run, see while, do some work, sleep, give another thread a chance to work. It means what the current thread will be sleeping for 2000 milliseconds of time. It means it is giving a chance to another thread to work. Catch interrupted exception, then if awaked by another interrupt, then continue here. So interrupt method, it will not throw an interrupted exception if the thread is not blocked or waiting. In such case, the thread needs to call the static interrupted method to find out if it was recently interrupted. So we should rewrite the while loop by while followed by void interrupt, static interrupted, boolean is interrupted, etc.